Well, good morning and welcome back to the channel. My name is Tony and the channel is Tony Talks Cards. This is going to be an episode about baseball gloves. And if you followed my channel, and I'll link to the prior videos in my description here, but about a month ago, I did a Mother's Day video talking about memories of my mom and first football game I ever watched. But as part of that video and long winding discussion, I got around to talking about 3 vintage baseball gloves I picked up at the National in Chicago probably about 10 years ago. And bad on me, I'd never looked whose name was on the glove. It's kind of hard to see when they're worn and faded and the inscription's dark and the glove is dark and all those things, right? But I never looked at it. I just thought the glove was the glove for display in kind of my man cave I had. But didn't even think to look if there was a name on the glove. And I did a video, first video a few weeks ago, maybe more, on this glove right here. This glove I showed off in a prior video, and again, I'll link to that video in the description. This glove has Mr. Stan Hack's name on it. And Stan Hack was a great player for the Chicago Cubs in the 30s and 40s. He played infield for them, not in the MLB Hall of Fame, but I believe he is in the Chicago Cubs Team Hall of Fame. And I had picked up a Stan Hack card like months before I found this out about the glove. So I thought, oh my gosh, what's the coincidence that I would have this guy's glove for 10 years, not knowing his name's even on the glove, and then pick up a card of his based on my deep dive into baseball cards the last few months. So showed it off. That was video number 1. But I have 2 other gloves, both of which I've since deciphered whose name is on them. And the next glove I want to show in this video, I'll do a one glove video here, I guess. The glove is here. I'll show you the name later, but this is the glove, much darker than the Stan Hack glove I have. Here's the back, pretty worn and faded, probably from the 40s or 30s. And the name, again, you can't see on the video. I'll zoom in when I turn the camera around here shortly, but just a little peek inside who this player is. Not a Hall of Famer, not a team Hall of Famer either. Had a fairly short career, but had some spurts. Played during the 30s and I believe the 40s. But the funniest, most interesting coincidental thing I found out about this player is that he was born, and I think passed away too, in the same town my dad was born in, and the same town his mom was born in Georgia. I went to, baseball research, whatever that site is, baseballstatistics.com. Went to his Wikipedia page too for this guy. Very short, but he was born in this town in Georgia, the same town my dad and his mom were born in. So I thought, I've had this glove for 10 years, just now deciphering whose name is on the glove. And to be from, and it's not Atlanta, it's not Atlanta, it's not a big city you've heard of before, likely. But to have that connection, I've got to pick something up with this guy. So I looked, eBay, Google, went on, ComC. Didn't have a long career, and players who played during World War II, who stayed behind, there weren't a lot of cards produced. But I did find one thing of him that I did order, and I'll show it when the camera's turned around. It's more of a picture, not really a card. Uh, but I found it on eBay. Really cool, neat picture of the guy. So I'll share that. I'll share more about the glove, zoom in on the name, share the picture, and share more about this player and his connection to my family, which is just so crazy. So give me a second. I'll turn the camera around. I'll show you more about the glove and what I picked up. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back. The camera is turned around, and here is the glove from the first part of the video. Like I said, it's been in my possession for about 10 years. It was really just bought as a display piece. I think I bought all 3 gloves from the same guy. Had a big, bin, plastic tub of old baseball gloves, and bought them more to display and have in my kind of man cave basement, but didn't until probably 2 months ago realize there was a name on this glove. Maybe most gloves had names on them because they wanted to tie them to a player. Maybe they were paid for the use of their name on a glove. I'm not quite sure, but I didn't know until 2 months ago. So looking in this, you see it says trademark. And right above trademark, there's a cursive, there's a script. There's an E, that's the first letter of the name. And then I saw the word Riddle, Riddle. It's hard to see on this, but the player's name on this glove is Elmer Riddle. And maybe you all know more about this than I do, but I had no idea who Elmer Riddle was. Never heard of his name. I'm not a baseball expert or connoisseur of all things and all players pre-war or post-war, but never heard the name Elmer Riddle. So like we all do, we look up baseball reference or research.com, Saber, Google, of course, and lo and behold, that is a real name of a real player. And his name is on this glove. So let me tell you what I learned about Mr. Elmer Riddle. He was a right-handed pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds and then Pittsburgh Pirates in the late 30s and throughout the 40s. He made his debut in late 1939 and was a member of the Reds' 1940 World Series championship team and was a member of the 48 All-Star team with the Pittsburgh Pirates. His best years were 1941 and 43, where he went 19 and 4 and 21 and 11 respectively. His ERA was 2.24 in 1941, and his 21 victories in 43 during the war years tied for the major league lead in wins in 1943. And this is where it gets more interesting and connected to me. On October 9th, 1941, his hometown declared that day Elmer Riddle Day. So he has a glove and a day in his hometown. Let me show you a picture of him before I reveal where he's from. I figure if I have a glove, I got to get a picture of the guy, right? So I looked, and just going off topic a little bit, there weren't a lot of cards. It's the war years, not a lot of cards were produced. He has a card in, I think, 48 or 49 with the Pirates, and maybe one with the Reds in a set I didn't pick up, but I did find a picture of the guy. So here is this is, I think, an M114 baseball magazine. What's it called? Let me see here. M114 baseball magazine premiums. It's like a piece of, paper right there. I think this baseball premium set was produced from the 1910s and 20s all the way up to the 1950s. I've not done all the research on exactly when and how these were produced, but in Googling and looking up the guy, I wanted to get a card or something to show the picture of him, to go along with the glove he had his name put on. Found this on eBay from a seller who had a couple other things I was curious about, so did a package deal on that with eBay. And you can see down here, published by the Baseball Magazine Company, New York, Elmer Riddle, enlarged from original photo. So this is him. So like I said, let me go back to his bio here. I had some really great years during the war with the Reds, 21 victories in one year and 19 victories in another year. And like I was starting to say, on October 9th, 1941, so after his best, an early year for him, 19 and 4 in 1941, after the season was over, on October 9th of 41, his hometown of Columbus, Georgia, declared that day to be Elmer Riddle Day. So I mentioned in the first half of the video, Columbus, Georgia is very special to me. That's where my dad was born and my dad's mom was born. My dad grew up there. My grandparents lived in Columbus, Georgia for most of their married life. It's a city right on the border of Georgia and Alabama. Phoenix City, Alabama is right across the border in Alabama from Columbus. And lo and behold, right, this is Mr. Riddle. He was from Columbus, Georgia. He was like 5, 6 years older than my granddad was, but he lived in the town after he retired. So they may have, who knows, been in the same at the same traffic light together or same event or who knows. But he was from there and did pass away in Columbus, Georgia too. His final win-loss record was 65 and 52, and he had 57 complete games. He did hit 204 as a pitcher, but again, pitchers did bat in those days, but 204 is pretty good, and had one home run with the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1948. Like I said, he was born in Columbus, Georgia, and died there too, and had a shorter career, about 7, 8, 9 years. But the other tie to me is he's actually buried in the same cemetery that my grandparents and great grandparents are buried in too, in Columbus, Georgia. So again, it was like dumbfounded, flabbergasted, whatever the word you want to use was, and seeing I had this glove, right? Just thinking it was a display piece, not knowing much about it, but found the name, found the guy, found a picture of him. This is probably all of $10, $12 on eBay before shipping and fees and things like that. And got to learn about the man, who played during a time when there weren't many cards. I mean, the war was going on. You had some play ball, double play, Gaudi's before that. He kind of missed some of those periods. The war years weren't very weren't very overproduced in terms of baseball cards and cardboard. Then he did have some, I think, issue in 48 or 49 in the last couple years of his career. Don't think it was Bowman, but I could be wrong about that. But let's look at this picture a little bit more. So that's Mr. Elmer Riddle. He's playing here with the Reds. And look at the back. I love the advertisements. You've got a coal company advertisement here, it looks like. And then Stallmeyer. Stallmeyer Frankfurters is probably what that says. So hot dogs. I know there's some Stallmeyer food issues, I think in the 50s I've seen talked about. And then going back over here, I'm assuming maybe Ballantine. I think that's a beer company. Maybe not. But again, just cool seeing all the advertisements behind him and in the stadiums back in those days. And wish it was in color. Be really probably extra special to see that too. But like that as well. And then at the very bottom, I noticed you can see his jersey number 41. At the very bottom of this, maybe it's hard to see. Where is it? Let's look at his socks. He has socks with the number 41 on them, which is really cool. 41, I think there, 41 there. You see the shoes and all the roughed up and scuffed and used detail, the socks, the pants, the uniform, the 41. Love it. It's definitely hard to display the way I have my display set up right now with my other cards, but when I found all the connections to him and my family, at least the city where they lived, and having the glove as well, had to definitely pick this up, and we'll find a way to display this somehow with the glove, of course. But that's a bit about Mr. Elmer Riddle. He had a short, but definitely career, but definitely some high points in 41 and 43. During the Warriors, was a World Series champion in 1940, which is cool, and had one home run in 1948. So there you go. I think he had some arm issues and things later in his career, which caused him to take a year off or miss a year or two, I think, post war ending. Came back with the Pirates, was an all-star, like I said, in 1948, which is great with the NL. And retired and went back to his home of Columbus, as they did in those days, had kind of a normal job after that. I don't know what that was. I did some research, but forgot what that was at this point. And then passed away in his hometown. So I thought I'd share that. Really cool connection. Player I had no idea even existed. But again, like doing these videos and buying cards and doing these pickups and researching the players, that's fun. This is almost as fun as buying the card itself, is learning about players who may have been forgotten, but certainly weren't in their hometown. If there was a day named after the guy, I'm sure he had a following and people knew his name in the 40s and 50s and 60s and beyond that. But one of those guys who, had a short but mighty career there at the beginning. And yeah, just love doing the research and talking about this. So thanks all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. And thank you for all those who've subscribed and commented, liked. I appreciate you. Again, here's the glove. On the other glove video I did for Stan Hack, and I'll link to the Stan Hack glove video in the description. I think Dubro or Dubo or Dubro was the name of the common glove manufacturers. I was hoping to find a picture of him with his glove actually, and you can see he's throwing. He's the right-handed pitcher, of course, but the glove would have been hidden behind him on his left side there. So, but maybe he had a glove like this, or who knows how his name got on the glove. So, but that is the glove. That is the man, Mr. Elmer Riddle. I'll show this one more time. Thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.